It's the month of May in the ISOWC IndyCar Series, and round number 7 sees drivers head to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to take on the ISOWC Grand Prix of Indiana. Coverage will start after this message, here only on RaceSpotTV. It's the month of May here in the ISOWC IndyCar Series, and that means it is going to be a trip to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, to the road course for this, the 7th round of the ISOWC IndyCar Series for 2015. Will Vinton along with Cam Walsh. There's been a look on pit road. Got a couple of drivers out on the racetrack. Derek Murray has literally just completed his qualification lap by the looks of it. There's 1 minute 28 remaining in qualifying. It's currently Nigel Marif on pole position. It's fast lap time here, 1 minute 11 seconds in his pole position. You expect lap times in qualifying to be, in the race to be around 1 minute 15. So this will be a fast one, just over 1 hour for this race. As Murray going off there, you got yourself Noah McBride heading himself out onto the racetrack. Let's check in then with, first of all, Nigel Marif, because he is onto the racetrack. There you can see him. Through turn number 4, it's dark, it's overcast here today. There is a threat of rain, and we can just see measuring temperature. It's 82 degrees Fahrenheit, a relative humidity of 51%. As you said though, it's very overcast, and well, wind speeds, they are currently about 6 miles an hour to the northeast. So, just going to have a look then at Nigel Marif as he completes another part of a lap here. Into sector number 3 he comes right now, and Cam, well, he will get himself another lap timed here because he's heading himself onto the banking now, and that means that we should see him really getting himself one more chance for pole position, even though the gap between himself and P2 currently about a 10.5 in qualifying. But he comes in.
Oh. Yeah, he comes into the pits there happy with that lap. Hello, Will. Hello, everybody. A 1:11.246, that's very good. I think he's practicing his pit entrance. Did a very good job there getting it slowed down. That's going to be one of those tough things. Very narrow entry, and it's really going to be hard on the brakes. And, of course, the pit stop's so important, especially in a place like Indianapolis. But he's getting that practiced in. I think he's happy with his pole lap, and honestly, I'm not surprised he's happy with his pole lap. Nigel Marif is normally a very good road racer.
Yep, let's have a look. Eric Davis, he's working himself back end of the racetrack right now. In number 65, Banshee Auto Sport car. Onto the Holman straight away. He comes now, which in just 2 weeks' time will be flooded with fans walking up and down during the... Do you realise? In 2 weeks' time, pretty much exactly now, Cam, we'll get the green flag for the 99th running of the greatest spectacle in all of racing.
Now that I do, and it will be an absolutely fantastic spectacle. I actually Plan on sitting there watching the whole thing as I have been doing lately the last couple of years. It's it's quickly becoming a very legendary event here in the Walsh household for sure.
Chan Simpson in the Satellite Mad Cape and One Design car bringing himself onto pit road. It looks as though that pretty much everyone is classified as off of the racetrack, and that means we can run through your qualifying results for this round number 7 in the ISOWC IndyCar Series. Well, there you can see them. It is going to be better that way. Nigel Marif starting this race here today on pole position. Richard Holliday about a 10th and a half further back. He's in P2. Derek Murray in 3rd. And Mikel de Jong rounding out the top 4 here today. We'll head on back and you can see it is going to be in P5. Eric Davis, Banty Auto Sport. Actually Blake Hood in 6th. Now McBride 7th. Chad Simpson in 8th. Paul Smith and Dave Jinks rounding out the top 10 with Rachel Whiteford in 11th, Tim Halser in 12th, Christian Steele, Pete Newman, Cleaver Botaro Mura, Michael Jones, Vic Cordell and Scott W. Smith rounding out your 18 car field here today. And well, Cam, we got ourselves a standing start, and what that means, anything can happen down in towards turn number 1.
Yes, turn 1, as we just saw yesterday, no spoilers, but we saw turn 1 happened, whatever that may mean to people who might not know what that means, but it means what it means. Hopefully everyone will get through. There's only 18 cars, but I say only, that is still 18 cars that are going to try and funnel down into turn number 1 all at the same time. Let's hope that they don't try and go 4 and 5 abreast.
Who knows? And of course, in 3 weeks' time here on iRacing, we will have ourselves coverage of the 2015 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500. There's 2 races for you. Friday night, you can check out PSR TV's coverage. That will be at 9 PM Eastern Time on Friday, the 29th of May. I think. Who knows? It is indeed the 29th of May, 9 PM Eastern Time. We're on the air at 4 PM Eastern Time. That's 8 PM GMT on Saturday, the 30th of May. We actually start half an hour previous to that with one of the most extensive pre-race shows you will see in the history of iRacing. And then 500 miles, 800 corners, 200 laps here on the world's greatest sim racing channel, RaceSpotTV. Nigel Marif just heading himself now down to the starting grid. There you can see him in that last lap motorsports car. Our aerial coverage here today is brought to you by and One Design, official graphics partner of the ISOWC IndyCar Series. We are officially green here at Indy now. And there's a bit of a slow start there by P number 2, P number 3. They are going to be bunched up as they storm down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. They are 3 wide. Will they all make it through turn number 1 without incident? We will find the answer out in just a moment's time. Couple of people bobbing and weaving down towards turn number 1. Will they make it through the first corner? Do they make it through turn number 2? Cam, I think the answer is going to be yes.
Yes, we do still have people doubling up there. Somebody held off the track, but all it does is push somebody else wide as they get back underway there. There's one slow car in the back, but ultimately everyone else getting away in the field as we head through this very tight and twisting International Motor Speedway course, Indianapolis Motor Speedway course here as they all start heading down the very long straight and going into turn number 8 there. Everyone's having gotten away very cleanly, and that's always a great thing to see.
Yeah, riding on board with Richard Holliday. He started this race in P number 2. He's down in P4, a very slow start. He's now got himself Eric Davis ahead of him. Vic Cordell and Michael Jones were 2 of the drivers that went off on lap number 1. They can see the field funneling itself. Now, this was actually reprofiled. We have got a car turned around. That is Pete Newman there, rear end of the field. You can see him in that Red Bull machine. And, well, we've had a lot of drivers have issues. That was a bit of a clumsy rejoining of the racetrack, though.
Hell, it was, but that incident was all of his own making there. I believe the car in front of him might have been going a little slower than he wanted to, and he checked up and getting back on the power, he ended up kicking those rears out, but he's got a lot of time to make this up. It's going to be 50 laps here, so as everyone starts their second lap, I have to say they have actually broken into pretty little pairs of 2.
Yep, and here come the animals, as actually Mikel de Jong currently leads the way from Nigel Marif. You can see those side by side as they work themselves. This will actually give Marif potentially a good run onto the Oval straight away. He falls back in line for the time being just behind. There's Eric Davis versus Richard Holliday. We're going to have 2 very nice battles as they come down onto the Oval straight away. Let's ride on board with Nigel Marif. Not going to make a move this time by, but one of the things about this series, as in any road course race in the ISOWC IndyCar Series, push to pass, and there is a track like no other where push to pass can be incredibly useful, and that is here at IMS, and you start using it right about now, Cam.
Yes, this is when you definitely want to get on the power, open up that engine, stretch those legs a little bit, and that seems to be what might be going on as they go in backwards through turn number 1 in the oval configuration. Nigel Marif, he's trying to figure out which way he wants to go. We'll go on the outside going into turn number 1. That'll actually set him up to the inside of turn number 2, or maybe he could get the entire pass completed as they head down into turn 1, under braking Nigel Marif, able to out-brake him and get the inner apex to turn number 2. Looks like he should have that pass completed, but he does not, and Michael De Jong actually counters going in through 3 and 4, but ultimately the outer carousel there will have to yield, and Michael De Jong now in the second position. Nigel Marif now back up front.
Yeah, and just behind that is Richard Holiday. We work along board then with him as he runs himself in P number 4, trying to catch up to the rear of Eric Davis. Good run, actually, onto the Omen straight away. We'll get that ticker running along the top of your screen. Holiday now the best chance he's had in a while. 2 wires, they come down in towards the complex, and well, Holiday late on the brakes, turn around there. Oh, trouble on the racetrack.
Yes, it looks like they tapped a little bit of the front wings to the rear wings, but nobody's picked up damage. Either that or they just out, and there's more chaos going on in Eric Davis's car. As we do go under caution here in the ISOWC at Indianapolis Motor Speedway's road course there, as we've got a car stopped on the track rejoining, and Will, just a little bit of contact there going into the turn after that long straight.
Yeah, we'll get ourselves a replay of that one then. It's just a bit of a concertina effect. It's the tightest part of the racetrack, really, as you work yourself off of the Omen straight away. But let's have a look then. Here is Richard Holiday. Down into the corner he comes with Eric Davis. Synchronized spinning, just like anyone who watched the ISOWC World Championship Grand Prix Series yesterday would have seen. Holiday spinning, and then Davis spinning it around as well. Number 44 car of Ashley Blake Hood just missing Eric Davis. We'll turn our attention actually over to him. There you can see him in that number 65 car. And then I think as he tried to get the power down, this is why the caution came out, because you had a second incident right about here, and that was with a car well down the field. I do think that might have been Paul Smith. Indeed it was, and that is the reason why we are under caution here for the first time at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Cam.
Yes, and I almost think that Eric Davis had just the slightest of bumps with Holiday, who was in hot pursuit there, but it didn't actually damage any of their cars. The big problem, of course, getting back under power. The car just slid away from Eric Davis, and ultimately Paul Smith, an absolute innocent victim in that one. But they'll have to re-react the field. We'll see if we'll have any takers going into the pits, and we'll have to see what they're going to want to do as everyone gets bunched right back up.
Yep, and there you can see then the drivers heading themselves behind the ISOWC first safety car. That will give us just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, to just have a look at some of the people in this field. We'll bring up the top 8 for you right now. It's Marnie from De Jong, Murray now up into 3rd place, Holiday, who was able to recover, he's still in P number 4, Ashley Blake Hood in 5th, Simpson 6th, McBride in 7th, and Paul Smith rounding out your top 8. The biggest loser in that lot was Eric Davis. I do expect to see him on pit road, because he has got himself damage to that front wing. Indeed, he is running, looking as though he is going to bring that car on pit road, right along board with him. Now, a couple of people dummying off of pit road. It's not really going to be much of an issue at this stage of the event, but Eric Davis is indeed going to bring that car on towards pit road, Cam.
Yeah, it's going to be Vic Caudill, Scott Smith, and Eric Davis as they make the long, winding, narrow road into the reverse Indianapolis Motor Speedway pit complex. As they will head their ways down, I'm sure they'll be getting tires, and Eric Davis looking to get that new front wing, perhaps a little bit of adjustment with the tire pressures, or maybe just trying to get off strategy on the fuel.
Yep, there's a look at Vic Caudill in the number 8 machine as he works himself then on towards pit road. 4 takers overall. TM Halser is there. You can see TM Halser there in the Vortex Sim racing car. He is going off sequence as well, so he's going to try. I don't think he had any damage, but he is back out and away. 7.3 seconds. Eric Davis getting himself a new front wing then. Scott W. Smith, pit stop time for him, 7.2 seconds. And Vic Caudill is a quick splash and dash, 5.1 seconds, as Eric Davis does indeed come out in just under 8 seconds himself. So, not often we get ourselves a caution on a road course here in the ISOWC IndyCar Series, but it's the first one we have had all season, Cam.
Well, it was the right thing to do. There was a lot of traffic that was, even though it was just the tail end of the field, there was still traffic heading to that car. that was turned around, but everyone's going to get re-racked, restacked. They got their fuel. Of course, the guys in the back picking up their fuel. I mean, why not? You're already in the back of the field, as I believe the pace car lights are out.
They are.
So as they head down the Ullman Straight one more time before we get these cars back to speed, Nigel Marif there now, he has to worry after just having that great battle through the entire first sector with Michael De Jong picking back first place. Now he's got to do it and defend into turn one, and we'll have to see whether or not everyone can be remain just as calm as they were at the standing start that we had, and hopefully everything works out.
Well, there you can see that the pace car is going to dart down on towards pit road, putting the field in the command of Nigel Marif. If we have a look from the rear of him then, and he will get the opportunity to accelerate whenever he wants to. So we had ourselves a standing starter for this race. Marif was good at it, but De Jong just a little bit better. Now we'll have to see what happens when De Jong controls the field down towards turn one. You want to try and break the advantage on that first lap. Try and break the very big draft. But here, now, around the banking lake arm, when will Nigel Marif come on towards pit road? That pace car actually is going to wait right until the last moment to come on towards pit road. So, not as much variation as Marif might have wanted. Now that pace car's in, and now we are back to green flag racing in the ISOWC Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Green flag is now back in the air as those drivers come back down in towards turn one, and De Jong immediately looking down to the inside, not going to be quite close enough as they come down in towards turn one. Let's see, will the drivers make it through? They are 2 by 2 cautions, and so often breed cautions, and they are stacked up at the rear end of the field, but they do all make it through. Oh, we've got a car turned around, rear end there, that is Paul Smith.
Yes, we do. Perhaps some damage from that contact took him out, or perhaps just getting underway on these cold tires. He will rejoin with no further action there. He just went off into the grass into a safe area and is now rejoined. Everyone else, though, still piling away as we have an incident.
Ashley
Blake Hood, yep, and we'll get a closer look at that and see what needs to happen.
We've got another driver, Michael Jones, involved in a crash as well. And this is in the treble 6 machine. And do we stay green? I think we do just about stay green there. All the drivers are through. All these people are running once again. There's been a couple of things that happened simultaneously there. First of all, I want to show you Mikel de Jong, because he actually loses the position. He comes under pressure. They were 3 wide at one point, actually. So you can see De Jong is going to lose that position to Derek Murray in the number 72 car. So Murray moving back up a position, and Holiday as well was battling it out. But then we had ourselves these 2 drivers, Ashley Blake Hood and Michael Jones, battling it out at the rear end of the field. And well, there you can see the first bit of Ashley Blake Hood. But now we have a look. Michael Jones, he just tags the rear there of Eric Davis, sending him into a spin. Davis has been in the wards, and that time nothing at all that really Eric Davis could have done.
No, and of course Ashley Blake Hood now trailing that obviously wounded IndyCar to the pit lane. Some crab walking from that thing. I have a feeling the crew's not going to be able to do much for it. But Ashley Blake Hood there just getting on the throttle a little, just squirting the throttle just a little too much off the exit to that corner, and ended up tagging the rear end of a car, and ultimately started that chain reaction there. But everyone else having gotten away, re-racked, and we're still underway under green here. Nigel Marif able to pull out that a lead as Derek Murray and Michael De Jong were fighting, and now Michael De Jong under pressure from Richard Holiday.
Yeah, and Holiday, though, just pushing wide as he works himself onto the banking. That's the point where generally try and commit to using yourself to push the pass if you want to do so. We thought maybe Holiday might have tried it this time by, but he wasn't going to in the end. Pete Newman side by side with Christian Steele on the banking lake arm, moving right along board with that driver of Pete Newman, who has himself just behind now Christian Steele, although that means that Pete Newman here today has worked himself up a total of 6 places from where he qualified, Cam.
Yes, very good. I actually saw his start. He actually made 2 positions pretty much before the guys in front of him even got their tires kicked over. He had a very good start there, that Mr. Newman, but right now he's doing a very good job, and he's got Dave Jinks now locked away in his sights, and he's already putting him way under pressure. Just tried to look on the outside. No, obviously there, that qualifying time that he put in, not indicative of what he's capable of, as we do have a car spun back. Yep, that's Rachel Whiteford. I believe That might have just been under power. Yep, as she was exiting the corner, just a little too much under power. And that front wing did get damaged when she hit the Armco, but I don't think it hit the tires.
Yeah, we also have Kleber Mora involved in an incident simultaneously as Whiteford looking as though she may well be out of the race. She has stopped that car on the racetrack. Rachel Whiteford, after a good start to this race in that GoDaddy 711 car, they're just underpowered, just looping the back end of that car into the Armco barrier. Her day is done. And then Kleber Mora doing a similar thing, but he doesn't hit the barrier. He just pushes wide into the corner, and it looks as though that Whiteford is now indeed going to be classified as out of the race, as well as actually play quick for the time being.
Looking at Nigel Marif, am I the only one that is seeing him stopped in the middle of the track?
He is.
That is a very bad spot to park a car,
yeah,
I might suggest.
They are naturally going under caution as we speak. Wow, this is a crazy one.
His wheel disconnected.
Oh, Nigel Marif in the centre of the racetrack there. Some technical issues for him. We are under caution once again here in the ISOWC Grand Prix of Indianapolis. And, well, that is not something you see every day here.
It's not, and especially right in the straight there to have the car just stopped. Everyone got around him, though. I will say everyone got around him on both sides, so no problem. I guess it's a safe spot to stop the car, but that was just a very surprising thing to find.
Yeah, and you notice right here, Nigel Marif just completely losing power. And, well, props to everyone, indeed, for getting around him. And, of course, in just 2 weeks' time, drivers were doing 235 into that corner. Down that straightaway in towards turn 1. And there you can see, very good job by all these drivers just to breeze past him. As Marif, very late call there by Eric Davis. The case of, well, do I go high, do I go low? Do I go high, do I go low? But Nigel Marif is currently classified as towed him back towards pit road. Rachel Whiteford has got that car going once again. Now you can see her in the number 61 car, although that car does look as though it's got a bit of substantial damage. So she might have to come back in and get a few more repairs done. But here's the interesting thing. 10 laps going to be scored complete this time by.
Yeah, as we do get 10 laps scored. I believe I might have been incorrect there. I think she does have some front wheel damage, or at least something causing that car to have a very chronic oversteer, but ultimately, though, everyone else having done a fairly good time. Vic Caudill right now on the point, as he is actually right behind. Wait a second. There we go. All right. It helps when everything's all set up. Derek Emery is following the pace car there with Richard Holliday and Chad Simpson in pursuit there. This kind of changes everything, as Nigel Marif was very, very quick, and now it's going to be in the hands of Derek Murray.
Indeed. So we potentially could get a couple of drivers on towards pit road this time by. 10 laps out of 50 scored complete. It'll be interesting to see how much fuel these drivers are saving as well, Cam. Although we'll have a look on board then with your race leader, Derek Murray, who so far today has worked himself up from P3 up into P1 right now, your race lead. Let's see whether he comes on towards pit road, and if he comes in, will anyone else follow him?
I would imagine everyone would want to come in. I mean, it's lap 10, but no, we do not seem to have the takers right now, though, as there's a couple of takers, couple of people leaning in. Christian Steele might be a taker, might be a customer. Yes, he is. He seems to be the only one, though. He is alone, and he will actually have to cycle right back with Vic Caudill, who was already well in the rear of the field. But this isn't a bad time to go off strategy. 10 laps in, plus a couple of pace laps. It's not necessarily the worst time to come into the pits.
No, it's not. And of course, these drivers will have to come in to make pit stops over the course of today's event. There you can see Christian Steele and the V Apex racing car coming on towards pit road. And there is a look then once again at your race leader. Lights are out on top of the pace car. Whilst we have just one quick moment, ladies and gentlemen, we will step aside. We'll be back after these messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV. In 2 weeks' time, ladies and gentlemen, of course, you'll be sat in front of your TV, you'll watch the Monaco Grand Prix, you'll be watching the Indianapolis 500. You can catch it, of course, on ABC. In Europe, you can catch it on the ESPN player. And there's a look high above then at this, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where in just 2 weeks' time, 250,000 people will march themselves through 16th Street and Georgetown to make themselves to one of the world's greatest race venues. Derek Murray then will be restarting this race from pole position. Last time it was Mikel de Jong. Richard Holiday is in third and Chad Simpson in fourth. Pay attention though to the driver who will be down all the way in P number 17 and a lap down, Nigel Marif, who'll try and do anything to come back through the field. He'll have to do it twice, of course, but who knows what will happen as we are back to green cam.
That we are, and already Eric Davis having a great jump, trying to go on the inside as we've had an issue here, and going into turn one, two cars colliding. They do go out of the way. Everyone else seems to be able to snake their way through as they both went onto either side. That was, I believe, Dave Jinks and Eric Davis.
Involved again. Eric Davis is involved in another incident here today. That is not what Eric Davis would have wanted to have had. He started so well, of course, in that number 65 Banshee Autosports car. Dave Jinks is at rear of the field. There you can see him in that number 76 Broken Arrow machine. But out from, what a restart by Derek Murray. 1.4 seconds a gap between himself and this driver in P number 2, which is Mikel de Jong, as they work themselves through the complex on towards banking once again.
And all that they do, and just taking a look at this incident once again, they're actually Eric Davis a complete victim this time, as Dave Jinks just completely locked it up, and the car spun out and right into Davis's car as they were trying to go into one. Davis, though, damaged beyond repair today, as he is actually going to be listed as out, as everyone else continues to get underway.
There you can see the VAPEX racing car, Christian Steele, as they head themselves onto the banking. He just went off, and he's now down at their 15th position. Nigel Marif is currently in P17. Look how many drivers he has passed on this lap alone. As we ride along board of him, just ahead, you've got Scott W. Smith, Rachel Whiteford. They're pretty much side by side in towards turn number 1. And the winner of this battle, oh, big trouble down in towards turn number 1.
Yes, 3 cars involved in that one there, as they did make contact going into turn number 2. Both cars getting completely spun around in front of 5 or 6 other cars. Nigel Marif, what an exciting day for him, as I believe he actually looped the car around, and in looping it, actually saved the car from contact. But under caution here once again. People are just getting a little too racy and going into too wide on these cold tires, and hopefully that'll really start to shape these guys up with these amount of caution laps we're doing, and get these guys back under the concentration they need to run green.
I think you made a really good point there, in the fact that it's cold tyres. And let's put the weather back up again. It's 82 degrees, it is humid, but the skies are cloudy here today at Indianapolis. And what that essentially means is that, well, you don't get the heat into the tyres as quickly as you would do if it was bright blue skies. So you've got to remember that one. Of course, you have got yourself some big gusting of wind as well. 10 kilometers an hour to the northeast, and put all that together, it does mean that the start of these events, these starts after restarts, it does become a bit more complicated for these drivers, and they have got to pay attention.
Yes, as these guys do catch up with the pace car now. Derek Murray still up front, Michael de Jong behind him, and Richard Halliday still in that 3rd position. But ultimately, it's just people getting away, getting just calmed down. I think these cautions, they might be riling some people up here. They want to get underway, but the problem is that you want to get underway, well, you're going to be causing these incidents. Nigel Marif able to catch up, but he's still going to be a lap down. And even though we've had these contacts, we only have 2 cars that are out. Well, 3 actually that are out, and that's Ashley Blake Hood, Eric Davis, and who else was that in the pits in the stricken car? Michael Jones, yes.
He's rewinding, apparently. So we can see him in that number 666 machine, doing a little bit of a wiggle in that rewind car as we have a look then. Up above our aerial coverage brought to you by And1 Design. There is your race leader, Derek Murray, heading himself then. Will he pit this time by 14 laps into this event? I think a lot of these drivers now are going to try and get themselves into a window cam. They don't want to have to do an additional pit stop compared to their rivals. They can get in, get themselves topped up. We've done essentially 10 laps worth of green flag racing here. Well, they might well be good to go without having to make another pit stop, but no one in your top 3 coming in again.
No takers this time by, as there are a couple of squirters in the back there making Rachel Whiteford, Nigel Marif. Obviously, Marif is going to have to do something. Dave Jinks comes in, Christian Steele and Scott Smith comes in, but these guys, having been back in the field, these guys might as well come in, top off on the fuel once again, get brand new tires once again, and we'll see these guys get away as the lights on the pace car go out, as just as I say that. So we've got 4 or 5 cars taking into the pits there. It'll still be in the hands of Derek Murray, and now this is the second time Michael DeJong is going to be able to attack him going into turn number 1.
Your lap leaders here today. 6 laps have been led by Nigel Marif. However, he is now scored 1 lap down. There's Rachel Whiteford on pit road. It's a lot busier actually on pit road. We'll get a look at some of these pit stop times for you. As Whiteford out and away, 7.2 seconds. Dave Jinks coming out 7.8 seconds. Christian Steele in 7.3. Scott W. Smith in 7.5, and Nigel Marif comes out in a pit stop time of 8.7 seconds. Now, for Nigel Marif, he's kind of been intelligent here because people came in around him. He's not going to lose all that track position. He has still got the opportunity of trying to work himself through the field, getting himself back into the lead lap. It's going to be pretty much impossible for him, but he's going to have some fun while doing it.
Well, absolutely, and with a 50-lap race, we are on lap 15, so we're well over just about a quarter of the race, but you know, there is still time. You never know if he could work his way up through the field, maybe catch up to Derek Murray and Michael DeJong and get past them, and then maybe a caution might come out or something. I can't imagine that without the help of a caution, though. If we go green the rest of it, Nigel Marif obviously will have no chance at all whatsoever, but they head down the long straight one final time. Now, this is kind of where everyone's incidents have been happening. People getting on through that long straight. They take that quick left. They squirt onto the power. And that's where we've been having a lot of incidents. Either people having trouble getting the power down or getting on the power too early and actually clipping the car in front of them. Hopefully we can avoid that as they head through the rest of the track today and head over back onto the oval. And we'll see them get back underway here on RaceSpotTV.
Just for the people listening on YouTube. There you
funny.
are. So, here we are then, cars heading themselves down towards the yard of bricks. 15 laps will be scored complete this time by. It's Murray from De Jong, from Holiday, from Simpson, Newman. They are your top 5. From House and Murray, McBride, Smith and Cordell running out your top 10. Pace car is in. Field back in the command of Derek Murray, and the green flag is back out here at the world's greatest racetrack, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Down towards turn 1 they come. Right on board then with Chris Simpson. As you can see, he's trying to put pressure on Richard Holiday. Down towards turn 1. They are too wide once again as they work themselves in towards turn 1. Well, it's not necessarily the first lap, the first couple of corners. They've all been careful through the first corners, really. It's coming off the almond straight away, and then actually the first time at full speed. We've really seen more incidents going on here today, Cam.
That they are. I think they cool down whatever heat they gain in these first couple of corners down that extremely long straight as Kyler Botaro Mora goes off into the dirt. He'll rejoin as another car goes off into the grass there, but ultimately nobody's had any issues yet so far as we head down the long straight once again. As Derek Murray getting back under the braking and through the corners here. Everyone seems to be carefully making their way through it. I think they're sick of going under caution and they're taking it nice and easy.
Yep, they're doing laps of 1 minute 15 or so when they're running under green. It's 2 minute 30 the laps under caution. And that does mean, of course, they use a little bit less fuel, but it's not as much stage as you would do on an oval. Let's have a look at Nell McBride versus T.M. Hauser. Although just behind them, Rachel Whiteford, Vic Cordell. Whiteford going to look to the outside as he tries to pass Vic Cordell. Is she going to use the bottom? Let's get that speed chart up for her. Down and towards turn 1, up to 300 kilometers an hour, almost on the outside. Down and towards that first corner, Whiteford past Cordell with ease as Cordell actually loses a position to Nigel Marif on track, although of course that isn't for position, Cam.
No, it isn't, but he got on the brakes there, and I think Nigel Marif went, well, if we're going to break that early, I'm just going to follow and pass too. So Marif making that up. Hopefully he's already made quite a few positions throughout this entire start as we wind once again through the first sector going on the long straight as everyone is still following Derek Murray, and what a gap Murray has put.
T.M. House has had himself an issue. Sorry to interrupt you there. Same place Whiteford did it about 10 laps ago now.
Yes, getting under power there. Let's see, did he hit the Armco barrier? Yes, he did. Again, I think it might have just been front wing damage only. I don't think he clipped the tire at all, which is important. But very nicely, though, he waits for the entire field to clear so he can reverse back onto the track. So very good rejoining from TM Hauser. But everything that he once had, he was once in position 6, now in position number 15.
Yeah, that's going to really hurt for him as Holiday still putting the pressure then on to Mitchell de Jong as they Mitchell de Jong, Mikel de Jong down towards turn 1, getting my series messed up there. If you have a look on board, the last lap motorsport driver of Richard Holiday, Mikel de Jong in the And1 Design Mad Cape racing car just ahead. And this is a nice little battle going on, although Murray is pulling ahead while these two go at it.
Now they are, and if you would like to see Mitchell de Jong and everyone else in the Drivers' World Championship, you can, of course, watch the Drivers' World Championship on RaceSpotTV on Saturday. Of course, no plugs at all whatsoever, though. But, yeah, Derek Murray is just enjoying watching his rearview mirror get smaller as these two guys are trading the momentum that they have through the corners to try and get by each other. Holiday there closing right up through the sector. He actually might be able to get a nose in, but no, he has to scrub off his speed to make the this corner here to get onto the oval, because you need that to keep your momentum up, obviously. But actually, having gone so quickly through that those quick little turns there, he has to back way off, and now he has got quite the gap. I don't believe, unless he uses a push to pass, he could get anywhere close.
Yeah, and of course these drivers have got use of both in-car tools, and they can make changes on their pit stops, their wing angles. In-car, they can especially play about the anti-roll bars. That will be useful as these tyres go down. Cone being kicked up there by Richard Holiday as you ride on board of him through turn 1 and 2, down through 3 into 4, and well, oh, Holiday spinning himself around there, and he just ran flat out into the rear of de Jong. He's going to have to take himself onto the grass, and Holiday, this isn't the first time he's had himself a close call here today, but he's now down into P number 6, and well, Nigel Marif has another incident just ahead of him as well. I think we're okay. TM Hauser is on pit road, but that was tough break there for Richard Holiday, Cam.
Well, that it was, and the smoke that you saw ahead of him was Chad Smith actually drifting the car right into the corner. Worked out perfectly for actually that was a very, very good save from Chad Smith. All 4 wheels going in directions that they didn't want to go, and ended up setting him up for a corner, but that's obviously not how you want to do that. But he will now, Chad Simpson, come under attack from Niall McBride and Pete Newman, of course, watching with Nigel Marif now, and being in front of Richard Holiday. If a couple of more people make mistakes, Nigel Marif might actually have a chance to make up this lap here. He is only about 20 or 30 seconds behind our race leader right now, Derek Murray. And if he can continue to push like this, as Chad Simpson loses a position to Niall McBride going into turn number 1, he might have a chance to make it back, but we are closing out on lap 20, 30 laps to go.
Yep, so we are at a point where you might be able to start getting yourself into that pit stop window. And I was going to make a point, but then people decided they wanted to do things. As we got a little bit further back, Paul Smith versus Dave Jinks through turn number 3. Let's have a look on board then with Dave Jinks in that broken arrow car, losing that position, falling down towards P number 9. And just behind him, he has got himself Karl Mura. And this is a battle now for the last spot inside the top 10. Mura on that number 25 car, putting that pressure on Dave Jinks. And to finish the point about promotions and everything, like this. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the ISOWC World Championship Grand Prix Series lives here on RaceSpotTV. Catch the world's greatest sim races. Partake in a 16-week schedule that season span over 5 continents. And who knows, maybe someone might be able to upset that 4-time champion, Gregor Hutu. Now our next race will be on Memorial Day Saturday, and that will be from 1:30 p.m. GMT here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live, as Chad Simpson has just turned himself around at turn number 1, Cam.
That he has, and Nigel Marif actually made the executive decision to cut that corner, and that's the thing you need to do. Nobody making contact with him, but boy, that was very close as he gets back underway. He didn't really lose much at all, but ultimately there actually he did. He went from position 4 to position 6, but Richard Holiday, as somebody else is back into the wall again, Pete Newman. And that looks a lot more terminal than the incidents that we've had there earlier.
Yeah, let's get ourselves a look then at the Red Bull number 58 car of Pete Newman, figure out what happened to him. He is actually still going as Christian Steele's now made himself a bit of an incident. So we'll start by having a look at Newman, figure out what happened. But Christian Steele, he's had himself a moment which is terminal. And it seems to be, that's the third driver now to almost make contact with the barriers. Christian Steele, is he going to do exactly the same thing, Cam? Do we need to actually get a slowdown sign at that corner?
We very well might need to. I don't know who we can hire to go out there and hold the sign, but ultimately, people are just making those slight little mistakes there, as they're now trying to. Now we know that we're green. We are up to tire temperatures here, so people are now trying to push as hard as they can, as especially Derek Murray, obviously, as he's got a 3-second gap. But ultimately, these mistakes are starting to mount up, and it is starting to spread the field out quite a bit, and I almost wonder, a couple more people spin out, how long before the leaders start dealing with lap traffic? Well,
here's an interesting point. Last time by, it was a 1:13.0 for Derek Murray, his lap time. His fastest lap of the race at a 1:12.195, so he's the second slower in his fastest lap of the race as he works himself onto the banking. 22 laps out of 50 going to be scored complete this time by. There is Pete Newman. He is going once again, didn't get any damage that time. So it is though a 3.7 second advantage from Derek Murray to Mikel de Jong. Let's ride a lap on board with that driver of Mikel de Jong. And well, you can just see how fast they are in towards turn 1. 300 kilometers an hour, Cam, into that 90-degree left-hander, which is actually slightly uphill, despite it being a very flat racetrack here.
Well, that it is, and of course it's about 187 miles an hour, which are about the speeds that the Chevys were doing yesterday at the exact same road course, obviously in different weather. But right now, they're just making it through this first little technical sector. It opens up a lot. You're always busy on the wheel, the throttle, and the brakes. This is a very tricky sector. Then you've got the long straight to kind of ready yourself with a little bit of runoff there, and ultimately you get ready for that second sector to begin. But it's just, it comes right up on you, and then you got a quick right, and then a quick left, and then a quick right again, as you actually ride a lot of these curbs, which can catch a lot of people out, especially with these turbo V6s, Will.
Yeah, there you can see the Mad Cape and one design car. Well, the gap between himself, that last time by, he was about 4 times per second slower than Derek Murray out front. It does look as though that Murray is really now just flexing his muscles. The battle for P number 3, P4. That one will get itself back into gears. There's a lap then on board Mikel de Jong. Just behind Richard Holiday versus Nell McBride. This could well be an interesting one. Onto the banking they come. Let's have a look at the speeds then. For Richard Holiday, up to 300 kilometers an hour now. And well, he's not using push to pass that time by, but he is gaining about a 5 kilometer an hour advantage on the straightaways by being tucked up in that draft.
All that he is, and both of the green cars here having a look-see-doodle at each other, as I might want to look to the outside in turn number 4. That's very strange. Well, it's not strange, but it's not a typical angle of attack you'd want to go, and going into turn number 6 here, this long winding, almost carousel-like, as Nigel Marif is able to catch right up there. Richard Holiday putting massive pressure on Niall McBride here as they gun up onto the straight. Let's see who gets the better exit. Will be Richard Holiday. He will be in the cat seat to look at the inside of turn number 8, as he will get him under braking. Niall McBride maybe would have a chance to counter, but not that narrow exit going into turn 9 and 10. So Richard Holiday setting up a great exit off of turn number 7. He's able to make the position, and that's also allowed Nigel Marif to catch right up to Niall McBride.
Yeah, that one, of course, isn't for position. There you can see now Nigel Marif even in P number 14. He is scored as 1 lap down. He's moved himself up due to the issues affecting TM Halser and Michael Jones. Pit stop wise so far. Now, it's interesting to note that Noel McBride has pitted before. Pete Newman there doing a little bit of lawnmower racing. But we can see, well, Noel McBride's the only one of these drivers who have actually pitted. I think that was back in lap number, the first quarter of the day, back on lap number 5, if I'm not mistaken, Cam.
I didn't actually hear you. I don't know. What was on lap number 5? Who was in the incident? TM Hauser?
No,
Niall McBride? I don't think. Oh, when he came into the pits, yes. He came into the pits in the beginning.
Yeah.
He did come into the pits in the beginning. You're right there. But no, actually, Niall McBride, speaking of which, actually lost a position to, well, not a position, but he actually lost a place on the track to Nigel Marif in that first turn there. Nigel Marif still on his hunt to the front of the pack, though he is definitely not doing the lap times that Derek Murray is doing. Is Derek Murray a 1:12.7 his last time by? And we can actually see as he finishes up yet another lap, starting lap number 26, what his lap times were here. Another 1:12.7, absolutely breaking the morale here, as Michael De Jong once again can't even break into the 12s this last set of laps here. But Niall McBride, at least with the pace that Derek Murray is putting down, certainly not going to be getting that lap back anytime soon.
Yep, there you can see Michael Jones down, the last driver circulating on this racetrack. He is scored, though, a total of 2 laps behind your race leader. And it won't be long, actually, until Derek Murray comes up to put him under pressure once again. There is Derek Murray. He's heading himself onto the Ullman straightaway right now. And there is Michael Jones, actually. He is actually behind, so I take that one back. Michael Jones is now officially just classified as 2 laps down. But we've got ourselves Dave Jinks, Pete Newman side by side in towards turn number 1. Winner of that battle is going to be the number 58 Pete Newman car, getting himself the position there over Dave Jinks and the number 76 machine cam.
Yeah, Sam Newman did have that issue with the getting under power exiting turn number 7 there. He ended up parking the car in front of the Armco. I thought it was a lot worse than it was. He was actually just trying to just ease it a little bit to where he wouldn't clip the Armco. He did, so he does have a little bit of front wing damage, but that's obviously not slowing Peter down at all. But ultimately, though, he was running very good. Qualified in 14th, but he was running up in the top 5 at some points. So Pete Newman looking to break away from Dave Jinks and start maybe putting some pressure on Vic Caudill, the car in front of him, position number 7.
Well, there we can see Scott W. Smith right on the rear of Kilbert Murrah as they head themselves down through the S's, and this is going to be around the outside, actually. What a pass almost there for Scott W. Smith round the outside. He's still got himself that number 25 car. He's now behind. Well, Scott W. Smith, after doing all of that hard work, pushing wide there. It's so easy to do down towards turn number 10 cam. And Scott W. Smith, after doing a ton of hard work, losing that position back to Murrah, who incidentally is now onto pit road.
And I was about to say, all of the work, losing the position going into the grass, and then the guy you're pursuing with ends up going down pit road. Yes, Kyber Votaro Mora coming into pit lane, car number 25, is this is the first of the green flag pit stops we've had halfway through this race, as Mora will look, he will pass the yard of bricks going the wrong way as far as the oval goes, and he'll end up coming in, and we'll see as he will definitely go a lap down, as Pete Newman is also in the pits, and Pete Newman will also go a lap down as Michael De Jong will cross them as well, which means Derek Murray has since long passed. But a couple of guys having to take these green flag pit stops. Obviously, they didn't capitalize on those yellow flag stops that they had chance to them.
Yeah, and now we're going to have ourselves an interesting conversation as to what will happen if we get some drivers on new tyres right out behind people on old tyres. Will there be a situation where people get themselves too impatient? As they can see, Murrah back out and away. Christian Steele is on pit road as we speak, but that's been a very long pit stop. This in pit car looking as though he is going to be classified as out of the event. Your top 2 drivers, let's not forget though, Cam, all have not pitted. Some people have pitted 2, maybe 3 times in this event. They can go longer, they'll be faster, and well, this race could still come back together a little bit later on.
Oh, it certainly could, and especially if somebody on brand new tires is. Derek Murray does come into the pits. Let's see, Michael De Jong, will he follow? No, maybe? No, he will not. So Michael De Jong will stay out an extra lap, possibly his fuel saving being in the draft of Derek Murray pretty much all race long has maybe paid off, as Derek Murray, 41 minutes into this event here, 29 laps completed, will concede his lead and come down pit road as he will take the long winding start all the way to the 3rd pit box. He'll actually come in, squirt onto the brakes right there, maybe not overdo the brakes, as he will not. He'll get the up on the jacks, a little bit of a slow entry into his pit box, but they'll get the fuel down and on, and he will look to complete the rest of his race and a 1 stopper, as he definitely has the fuel for the finish now.
Yep, and he's back out and away in exactly 10 seconds then. So Derek Murray, he's into a bit of traffic there. This is an interesting one. That's Tim Hauser ahead of him. Now, The thing is, there is no blue flag rules in operation in the ISOWC IndyCar Series, so Team Halser does not need to... Oh, he goes off. There's the point. Just completely ruined. Oh, Halser spins again.
Well, I mean, you know, if you just want to be polite and move yourself over a little bit, that's okay. But I think that might be a little excessive.
Yeah, there is TM Halser in that number 56 Vortex Sim Racing car. That was down turn number 2 and 3 as he is scored down MP number 14. Looking at Mikel de Jong, he's doing another lap now. So this will be the 5th lap of the day, 4th lap of the day, actually, that's been officially led by Mikel de Jong in that number 5 car. Gaps himself and Richard Holiday up to 8.2 seconds. No one else on pit road by the looks of it this lap. Just having a look through the field, Richard Holiday is indeed staying out to do another one. So perhaps it might well have been just a simple case of that driver, Derek Murray, being too, you know, aggressive on the happy pedal, potentially more under caution.
Well, potentially, but it's not just that. Maybe Derek Murray's lap times are starting to fall off, which is not at all. He's last 7 laps before coming into the pits were all sub 13 laps, which is faster than anyone can even touch. So perhaps he just wanted to get a new set of rubber boots and fuel to the finish and not worry about it again. But it's 30 seconds behind the current leader right now, Michael de Jong. We'll have to see whether he wants to come in one more time or do one more lap. No, he'll come into the pits this time as he's 173 entering the pit lane entry. He is absolutely attacking the entry. He's going to slam on the brakes. Gets down to 55 miles an hour just before the line. Very good pit entry from Michael de Jong, and he'll need it if he wants to beat out Derek Murray, as Derek Murray has been doing faster lap times, so there's more of a gap. We'll have to see if Michael de Jong is able to perhaps make a pass through the pits.
Well, de Jong is on towards pit road then. Scott W. Smith, you can see just the driver there coming in and almost making contact with Mikel de Jong as he comes into his pit box. Let's have a look on board with him. And, well, to go back to the previous point as well, Cam, is under caution, there is a fuel mixture setting in the Stellar DW12s that was removed from the IRA 5 back in 2009. What it essentially means is under caution, you can flick it to 8, and it physically won't let you use many revs, and it's called safety car mode for good reason. And I think that's what Murray might not have done, and that might be the reason why de Jong's been able to go a couple of laps longer. Chad Simpson is now on pit road in the Satellite Mad Cape and One Design car.
Yes, so now I'm just looking where Derek Murray is. I'm trying to see what the gap is between Michael de Jong and Derek Murray, as Derek Murray is on the straight, and Michael de Jong did end up giving that position back. I ended up missing the pass there, but I'm surprised at how much of a gap that I thought Michael de Jong might have been able to close that up just a little bit to Derek Murray, but that's not what happened.
Then Holiday is now on towards pit road. The key battle for me, I think, will be between Holiday and de Jong, although de Jong should be able to keep that second place. 31 laps going to be scored complete now, as Holiday crossing the line of bricks. And actually now Noah McBride, who leads his first lap on a road course this season in that number 41 car. And it's not been a bad day at all for Noah McBride. So having a look there at Holiday down in towards his pit box there. And we'll get that pit stop timer up for you. And, well, TikTok and de Jong's already passed.
Yeah, Michael de Jong has long since passed. This is going to be 10-15 seconds, at least as far as a gap goes, and I believe that's a much larger gap than what they ended up before their green flag pit stops. So Richard Holiday taking a very wide cut there. He gets through turn number 1, and he will go back underway on those cold tires. We'll have to see how hard he attacks and perhaps maybe an issue come around. But yes, Niall McBride leading his very first lap here. But of course, it is just a temporary thing, as he is just holding the place for that man of Derek Murray, car number 72, as he looks to return to his lead right now and complete the 32nd lap of this 50-lap race. And right now, he is absolutely doing great laps right out of the box. He did a 112 on his very first flying lap and a 113.1, which is still faster than pretty much everybody on the track. So Derek Murray, obviously, he is all set to go.
Yeah, there is Derek Murray in that number 72 last lap motorsports cars coming your way this fall, ladies and gentlemen. It is the one, the only, the legendary Nordschleifer. And here is a sneak peek of what you can expect. We'll be right back.
so excited to be bringing the Nurburgring to everybody. It's by far the most requested track that we've ever had. I've been with iRacing since the beginning. I can't tell you how many people I've met at trade shows or racetracks and demos that we've done all across the United States and even in Europe. And it's always the most requested track that we've had. And it's always been kind of a sad answer, no, we don't have it. When are you bringing it? And we never really had a good answer. And obviously we announced this last year, and it's super exciting. I mean, it really is one of the premier tracks in the entire world.
The Nürburgring, to me as a race fan, is the holy grail of racetracks. Even from the gaming aspect, just getting that car around that track was a personal achievement by itself. It's kind of got this iconic status to it that makes it different than any other track in the world.
We actually have a lot of history with the Nürburgring, dating back about 20 years. We created a version of the track for Grand Prix Legends, which was a Formula One simulation for the PC. But this will be the first time that we've worked on the track with laser scan data, highly precise measurements, and of course the iRacing standards of quality. So we're really excited about this project, and we can't wait to release it. There are two main facilities at Nürburgring. There's the Grand Prix course, which is basically a modern F1 style racetrack. And then there's the Nordschleife itself, which has been around for decades. And of course, the combined course, where you can take the Grand Prix course, drive around it, and then there's a point where you branch off onto the Nordschleife and you continue there all the way around the Nordschleife and then back down to the Grand Prix course. And the end result is an extremely large, unique racetrack. We arrived with a really large crew. Actually, 4 of us made the trip, and we spent a week there photographing the track, taking video recordings of the racetrack, the surroundings, the scenery, the towns. And when it's all said and done, we returned home with a massive amount of data. If you took our largest project ever, this is probably 4 times that size. So it's going to take a lot of work, but it's really our plan and our intent not to cut any corners and really produce and create the best version of the Nürburgring possible that we can. The terrain and topography of the area that surrounds the Nürburgring is really important to the character and accuracy and feel of the track. We're really working on new ways and methods and types of data that we can use to build the best topography and best terrain model possible. And it will be something never before seen in iRacing or racing sims in general. We have a laser scan of the track, and that laser scan is incredibly dense. Essentially, there's so many points that you could take a quarter and lay it on the laser points, and the quarter wouldn't fall through. So we're taking that level of detail from the scan, and we're trying to translate that into what you see in the sim.
You won't find the level of detail that we bring to tracks anywhere else. You guys expect that from us, and we'll continue to do that. It's not just purely laser scanned. It really will have personality, and I think that that's what's going to make our track unique.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is what is coming soon. It's the one and only Nordschleife here on RaceSpotTV. And Cam, I know exactly what you're going to do the first time that comes out. Actually,
yes,
there's one of 2 things. I'm going to take that back.
Yeah.
There's one of 2 things. You're either going to Lotus 79 or the Ford GT. I don't know whether it's the Ford GT, GT3 model or GT2 model, and take it out.
Oh, never the GT2 model. I don't actually drive that one, which I guess would kind of be wrong because that was the first one released. But yes, the Lotus 79 will certainly be my first tour around the Nordschleife here in iRacing, of course. The car just missed out on doing it in real life, but the car was just a little too quick there. But Niall McBride still on the point, 3.4 seconds ahead. I had a question in my head here. I was wondering, with all these caution laps and Niall McBride probably being one of the last ones to go into, the ones to pit on that last caution, he wouldn't have enough fuel to the finish, would he?
I doubt it. That's what I'm thinking right now. I think it's doubtable for Niall McBride, and even so, in the next 13 laps of this race, I do think that Murray will find a way past Noah McBride, just because he is consistently about a second to a second and a half faster than Noah McBride. And well, here's an interesting look then. The last lap time for Derek Murray was a 1:13.004. Nice. He's not in the 1 minute 12 like it was a little bit earlier on, but he's still pushing it hard. In fact, that gap's come down a second this lap alone. Noah McBride 1:14.3 and onto pit road.
Yeah, well, yay. You know, when you bring these questions up, they hear you, and they just immediately do what you don't want them to do. So, Niall McBride coming down to the pits, resigning that lead back to Derek Murray, who is now on the point, completing the 38th lap. Michael De Jong, though, 13 seconds behind, and that gap is only growing and growing, as actually it's down to 10 seconds now. Not quite sure what might have happened there, but he's 10 seconds back. Richard Holliday is about 19 seconds off the rear end of Michael De Jong, and he is going through some traffic right now. So Richard Holliday having some issues getting through some of this lap traffic as they all go into turn number 1.
Yep, a couple of people coming out of pit road there. You can see Michael Jones making himself another pit stop in the Rewind number 666 car. Although you've got yourself Nigel Marif back now onto the lead lap. He does have to, by my watch, pit again though. He's on the lead lap, so only due to the virtue of the fact that he's pitted on the latest caution. He, by my watch, will have to pit again, but it'll only be for a splash of fuel can.
Now it will, and if there is another caution, he is going to be on the lead lap in position 6. And just to get into position 6 on your own, even with having to do this alternate fuel strategy, is really something to be appreciated. I mean, he had that issue. His car died right on the front straight, and they ended up just replacing the wheel or whatever he had to do there. And Nigel Marif back on the track, and he's now up to 6th. I mean, he started in first, so he's still not happy, but my, what a recovery.
Indeed, so we saw on RaceSpotTV side by side him getting past Rachel Whitefield. Never missed a moment with RaceSpotTV side by side, brought to you by And1 Design. Well then, we've got ourselves a little bit further ahead. There is Chad Simpson. Just a moment ago, we were talking about the difficulty for traffic for Holiday, etc. That one seems to have calmed down just a little bit. Now McBride actually be catching up to this one in a couple of laps time or so. He is though a couple of seconds behind Richard Holiday, so it looks as though the McBride at this stage of it will have to
off the track.
For
a couple of cars are in. Pete Newman and Vic Caudell are all wrapped up with each other as we do go under caution. There are cars having to stop as they're coming across the field there. Vic Caudell and Pete Newman were absolutely tied up in turn number, I believe that was 6.
We'll get ourselves another look at that one, and you know he loves that one more than anyone else?
Nigel Marif.
There's Pete Newman. That's when he spun the car. Now let's slow it down. Oh, he spins it back onto the racetrack, and Caudell then makes the issue then. So Pete Newman tries to get that car turned around. He actually spins it across the centre of the racetrack, and that is when Vic Caudell at number 8 car comes across. The entire track is blocked. We have a look then from high above. Look at Dave Jinks coming to a complete stop there. And, well, I think the caution came out for good reason that time by.
Well, that it did. If people were still going in there at full speed, Dave Jinks probably would have slid in there. A couple of other people would have slid in there, and that would have not ended well at all. So the caution due coming out as Pete Newman is now in the pits. Dave Jinks, I believe, when he wraps around, will probably enter the pits. I'm not quite sure. He might have picked up some wheel damage, but they were entangled in such a way across the track that nobody was going to be able to get around him, not Dave Jinks. But as he made it through, but Vic Caudell, I meant, as they do have the same color blue, but ultimately that's just kind of changed it. You've got 10 laps to go. It's going to be a 10-lap sprint here. Derek Murray, I don't think we have any worries about his pace, but he does have to worry about that one move that Michael De Jong has, that one bullet in the gun going into turn 1. We'll have to see what he can do, and if anybody will have to come into the pits.
Indeed, so there is Nigel Marif. Now, here's the interesting question. Has he got enough fuel to go to the end of this race? We don't know. We don't know how many push to pass he's got left either.
Michael De Jong?
No, Nigel Marif.
Well, I was going to say, he's on caution fuel laps right now, so it doesn't hurt, but oh boy.
Well, no, he's not in some ways, because he was so far back that he's having to basically drive a lap at full speed to catch the pacing line. So here we can see him now coming into view. He is now into the pacing line, and we will probably find out in the next 10 seconds or so whether he's going to come onto pit road. You can see he's heavily saving. Now he's kind of caught that one. He is heavily saving. He might well actually have had to come on towards pit road in a lap or so anyway. He is indeed coming on pit road. Now the question will be, is this a splash and tyres? Is he just going to take a splash with no tyres? Who knows what could happen to Marif? And he's not got... Well, actually, no. He will finish. He will start this on the lead lap in P7.
The lights are off. Yeah, the lights are off on the pace car, so I would go with tires. Go with tires. It's only going to take 10 seconds. Burn to the field, and then you're going to have new boots, enough tank for the finish. As also, I believe that is Vic Caudill also in the pits there. But this is going to be very critical whether Nigel Marif will take boots or not. I would say go for it, but we'll have to see.
Let's have a look. Right on board then. With Nigel Marif, he will get himself some fresh rubber. And there is his pit stop. It doesn't really matter, actually, on reflection. He will start this race P7. He will be in the lead lap. The only issue is that it's single file restarts. And because of how short caution laps are here, it does mean that he will be at the back of the pacing line.
But he'll have warm tires, though, because he's definitely burning to the field at race speed. So this is going to be interesting. I don't believe Marif is going to be able to catch the field as Derek Murray, as they do head down the long straight. Actually, he most certainly will. But he'll have to work his way up, and we'll have to see what he can do. Marif, I think, one of the only ones that can also dip in below the 12s with some routine. He hasn't done it in quite a while, but right now it's all in the hands of Derek Murray right there. That car number 72 with Michael De Jong right behind, and Richard Holliday, who has pretty much been in third place all race, and Paul Smith, who's in 8th. But he will be starting in 4th, and that's sort of adding some issues there. I mean, Niall McBride in 4th position. He's got 3 or 4 lap cars ahead of him there, as we'll look to get underway once again for certainly the final time, as Derek Murray will take the field for one last time.
Well, we hope it's one last time. Who knows?
Hopefully that will.
Who knows? There's a look then at our aerial coverage, brought to you by And1 Design, official graphics partner of RaceSpotTV. We zoom it in at the front of your field. In the first part of the pacing line, it's the number 72 car, Derek Murray, then Michael De Jong, and then Richard Holliday. There is Nigel Marif. He will have some traffic to work past, although that is Rachel Whiteford just ahead of him. Pace car is in. 41 laps scored complete. Green flag back on the air. Perfect start there by Murray. Holliday gets himself a better start than De Jong. They're all storming down in towards turn number 1, and De Jong was trying to make a move down to the inside into that first corner. They are stacked up down in towards turn number 1. Behind, they're all making it through. There's a little bit slow. Marif has already passed Rachel Whiteford. Marif up into 6th place, but a lot of traffic for him to now try and get past.
He will have to fight his way through. Is Niall McBride trying to look onto the inside of a lap car of Dave Jinks. Dave Jinks trying to yield that corner as he will, but he also has to worry about Scott Smith, who is actually fighting for position. You don't want to give too much away, but right now everyone looking to get away very cleanly. Derek Murray heading down the straight here as everyone takes an inhalation just to get ready for that turn number 7, where people have been having so many issues today, as we'll have to see if we get any takers into the Armco as they get under the power, but thankfully this time by we don't.
Well, let's have a look at Richard Holliday, and let's get that speed chart up. It's 0.8 of a second. De Jong was sluggish in the middle stage of that lap. He made himself a small issue, which means that now it's really a 2-horse race unless De Jong can force himself back through in the next part of this event. We are closing the laps down, and actually, here's an interesting point. Murray is faster in a straight line. He was on the button clearly that time by, because Holliday had the draft. But I think that Murray's being very smart here, trying to get himself past that draft range before he runs himself out of push to passes.
Absolutely, and I mean, I would be dumping these push-to-pass buttons. There's only 7 laps to go. Murray's not going to have to worry about getting around lap traffic. He just has to worry about building a gap. It is under a second still at the line. Richard Holliday, though, now in 2nd place, and Michael De Jong, a little demoralizing after being in 2nd the entire race. And now you're back down into that lowest step on the podium, but still a good race as Nigel Marif was looking to get around Paul Smith there, as he will. Paul Smith very kind in letting him go through. But now Nigel Marif, the car in front of him is Niall McBride. So and that's going to be a fight for position. So now the long climb up to the top has finally come around, and now Marif looks to maybe even get in the podium. He's only 5 or 6 seconds off the rear end of these faster cars.
Yep, there's Scott W. Smith versus Dave Jinks as they head themselves onto the banking. Does Smith have any form of advantage? It doesn't look like he will, as you've got also Cordell versus the driver of Mura. There we can see them. They're going to be much, much closer. Down to the corner they come. Maya on the inside. He actually tags there, the attenuator, but you will have Moya up one position. Cordell not able to respond as they came down in towards turn number 1, Cam.
Yes, and that, of course, works right there. That's a good pass for position, and ended up topping out at 184, 185 as they entered the turn. So obviously Mora was either on the push-to-pass button or just had the thing, but I think he might have a cone stuck in his car. He did for at least a corner, kicked it out. But I don't see that happen every day. But Mora able to kick that cone out. Now he is going to be working on building up that gap as Michael DeJong is just falling back hand over fist from Richard Holliday.
Yeah, maybe he wouldn't have to save fuel. There's no way he didn't pit under caution, so he wouldn't have that issue to probably have made. Let's have a look though at the lap times as they work themselves past the stripe. Derek Murray just set his fast lap of the race a moment ago, 112.1. That time by a 112.3, a 112.7 for Richard Holliday, a 113.1 for De Jong, and then a 112.9 for Nigel Marif, a 112.0 for Nigel Marif.
I just saw that. That is the fastest lap. He is absolutely on it. As the lap times are coming down, he almost broke into a 111. That's almost qualifying time, and it's not like Nigel Marif didn't just come in for fuel. So obviously he is on the inside of Niall McBride, and he will have that position made already before they even enter turn number 7 for the long straight here. Nigel Marif only 5 seconds off the rear end. Now it's going to be closing in on Michael DeJong, and he can see Michael DeJong very clearly now. So Nigel Marif possibly one of the great recovery drives, and courtesy of a caution between Pete Newman and Vic Caudill, which of course the caution did have to come out, and now Nigel Marif absolutely taking advantage of that. As Derek Murray, though, I don't think there's anything in the tank for Richard Holliday to keep up with him, though they are dipping routinely into the 112s.
Yeah, and a 112.4 that time by for Derek Murray. There's a 113.1 for Holliday. He's overworked his tyres. A 113.0 for De Jong, and another 1 minute 12.0.
The exact same lap time.
Wow, that is impressive. And of course, he had to get himself past his teammate. Now, was going to make the point. That was his teammate, McBride. McBride probably thought, have it.
Yeah, I would imagine is obviously qualified in first, so Niall knows that Nigel is the hot foot, and he is closed right up in 1 lap's time. He was right next to Niall McBride. Now he is right in the air wake of Michael DeJong, possibly even to, he's not going to get close enough down this straight, but certainly by the time they get off of turn 13, Michael DeJong is going to have to be looking into those mirrors very closely, as the faster car through this intersection is Nigel Marif. He is working his way. He might just get himself a podium position, as we have 4 laps to go, 3 laps to go this time by. Yeah, actually we have got 4 laps to go this time by the looks of it. Indeed there will be, and it's half a second the gap, and Marif lost out a little bit there over Mikel De Jong. I think De Jong is on the bottom. The gap is about 7 tenths per second. This is where it gets trickier. The Mad Cape 1 Designs car has, of course, led laps here today. Marif has led laps here today, but that last time by just a little bit slower from Nigel Marif into that dirty air. A 1 minute 12.3 was his lap time, as there was a speed chart for you. Realistically, anyone can still win this race. Marif is closing, and Holliday that last time by was faster than Derek Murray for the first time in about 5 laps. I think Murray has run out of push-to-passes. I know we don't have access to that, but I have a feeling he burned all of them just to get that 2-second gap. 2 seconds might be all he needs, as we do only have 4 laps to go. As you have said, Richard Holliday there He is pushed up to about a 2 to 3 second gap as Nigel Marif is putting massive pressure onto the rear end of Michael De Jong. Now Nigel is faster through this sector, though. He does scrub speed for the long straight. Now we'll have to see what they do again. Michael De Jong, as it is shown, is definitely faster in a straight line. We'll have to see whether now he's close enough. Now I can't imagine Nigel Marif would not be able to get at least alongside going into turn 1, and we're about to find out as they come onto the Indianapolis straight right now.
Yeah, and there is Nigel Marif then closing that gap up as they come down towards turn 1. He's going to look to the outside. He will have more grip than De Jong, and it's not going to work out for him though. Although he's pushing, trying to force De Jong into a mistake. He almost made one at this corner a lap ago. 3 laps to go. Whilst this is going on, they have fallen back out of the way of the race leaders, and now, oh, Marif!
Oh, boy.
Oh, spinning it down to the inside. That's going to be pretty much his race over now. He's going to have to be careful when he rejoins the racetrack. He has lost a position there to McBride. He will be forced to probably give up a bit more time as well, which is what he's doing. But Nigel Marif, sometimes if you push too hard, you lose out. But what heart, he'd say, for that Magnus number 69 machine.
Absolutely spirited drive there, and Michael De Jong, though, not folding under pressure as well. I mean, it takes 2 to tango, and Michael De Jong didn't put his car a foot wrong, and ultimately he held out as there's a car over on the side, as that's Richard Holliday. Richard Holliday is off the track right now. He has spun it out, going over a curbing, and actually got his tire on the grass, so all of that work that Holliday has done, and now he too has spun with only 2 laps to go.
And Marif is actually going to work himself back past now McBride, so from nowhere, somewhere, it's going to be maybe Marif actually getting a podium after all. 2 laps to go here at the world's greatest racetrack, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, down into 1, and there you are, Marif up into 3rd, McBride in P4, but Richard Holliday is going on for him as well now. Let's see if we can get ourselves a replay of this one, and this was Richard Holliday then in that 03 car, having himself a bit of an issue, and well, we haven't really seen much about that. It's been LMM in the last couple of laps, making 2 mistakes by 2 of their very quick drivers. Holliday there, down in the complex, that 03 car turnaround.
Yes, and he will run out of time. He will not even be able to catch up to Niall McBride's car. I can't imagine. Maybe he might have an outside shot at Niall McBride, but he just went from 2nd to 5th, and that's got to be a heartbreaker. But Derek Murray, though, rounding one more time, he is going to take turn number 13, and he will start the final lap right now.
Yeah, the white flag is out. 1 more lap to go here at Indianapolis. Lap times on this configuration is 1 minute 12-ish. Of course, when we head ourselves flip it the other way around in 2 weeks' time here on RaceSpotTV, in fact 3 weeks' time, I'll take that one back, it will be 40-second laps, sub 40-second laps. But here today, Derek Murray has been very, very quick. Yes?
Nigel Marif ran a 112.5. Michael De Jong ran a 113.5. So I'm not sure. Perhaps Nigel Marif might be able to come up with something here. He is only about a 2.5 seconds back.
Yeah, but he's not gained anything in sector number 1 here. The gap is still 1.3 seconds. He would have had to have done something before the Omen straightaway. Derek Murray is working himself then down towards the last couple of corners. If anything happens in the De Jong-Marif battle, we will let you know. Although it does look as though that De Jong might just have done enough to hold on. As out then, onto the banking for the final time will come Derek Murray for Last Lap Motorsports, the Aboto Fanatic car. Onto the banking for that final time, and Derek Murray will win this, the 7th round of the championship. We'll go back to have a look at De Jong-Marif. It is close. It won't be close enough. It'll be 7 tenths per second. De Jong forces it to be a Mad Cape and One Design car in 2nd, and then avoiding a 1-2 finish at Last Lap Motorsports. That Last Lap Motorsports driver of Nigel Marif will come home in 3rd. Now McBride in 4th. Richard Holliday running out your top 5. And here you can see Chris Simpson now in the Satellite Mad Cape and One Design car coming home in P number 6. Rachel Whiteford, the last driver on the lead lap. She comes home in P number 7, which is a good recovery actually, considering the fact that she had her crash into that Armco barrier about 10 laps in.
I was about to say, that's an absolute great recovery drive there. Getting that new rear wing, getting stuff all fixed up and absolutely last car on the lead lap. That is definitely no easy feat there. Great running from her as, well, I mean, we had a couple of issues early, but once we got the cautions out of the way, we had a very long green flag run to the end, and boy, that was just an amazing race.
Yep, there is Derek Murray then in that last lap motorsports car, heading himself down towards victory lane. And let's have a look at your final race results. Derek Murray then by 8.5 seconds claims victory over Mikel de Jong. De Jong in second place, able to avoid it being a last lap motorsports podium sweep. He comes home in second, Nigel Marif in third, Niall McBride in fourth, and then Richard Holliday running out your top five. Chad Simpson in sixth, Rachel Whiteford last driver on the lead lap in seventh, Scott W. Smith in eighth, Dave Jinks in ninth, and Kleber Watrada Murrah running out your top 10. Heading on back, Vic Cordell in 11th, Paul Smith in 12th, Michael Jones in 13th.
Will it keep it off the donuts to serve each other?
And then Pete Newman 14th, Tim Hauser, Christian Steele, Eric Davis, and Ashley Blake Hood rounding out your field here today. We will step aside for just one moment. As you can see, the synchronized-ish donuts going on here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the Yard of Bricks. Two of the last lap motorsport drivers, the number 12 and the number 41. As well, we'll be back after these messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV, home of the 2015 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISOWC IndyCar Series post-race show here from Indianapolis, as round number 7 is in the books. Derek Murray is the victor. Total of 4 cautions here today, Cam, for mainly, it wasn't, I'm not going to call it aggressive driving here. It was just the track conditions were very cold and difficult at points. It just seemed to me that there was a bit of a lack of grip here.
Yeah, people getting under power and some other people not able to get on the power. Ended up having some collisions there. Of course, that final caution between Vic Caudell and Pete Newman, of course, bunching up the field at the end. But ultimately, though, some good green flag running, some good green flag pit stops, so definitely not a caution-filled race. And ultimately, ended coming away with a great finish at the end for the podium positions.
Well, we've got ourselves Mikel de Jong coming home in second place. He was able to hold on to that second place position. In some ways, it was gifted to you towards the end of the event, Mikel, but overall, entertaining day for you here today.
Yes, it was, Will. That was a pretty hard race. All those cautions wreaked havoc with my strategy, and well, yeah, you could say I was gifted, but I kept it on the track, so that was an important part.
It was. How tough was it out there today at the road course? Because it does seem to be that we've had a lot of drivers making contact with the wall on the exit of turn 7, and it seems to be also turn number 1 in that first sequence of 4 corners. Seems to be very tough on these drivers here today.
Oh yeah, the first corner is very hard because you come in there so fast, and it's you have to let off the brakes, and then there's another tight left-hander. It's a unique track to be sure. You can have different setup options as well. I opted for the low downforce option to get more speed on the front straight, because I didn't think I could keep up with the fastest guys today, like Nigel Marif, for example, in the tight infield. So I tried to keep up on the straight. It sort of worked today.
Well done. P number 2 for Mikel de Jong. We've got ourselves Noah McBride. He came home in P number 4, and he stood by the one and only Cam Walsh.
Niall McBride, we at one point you were leading through the pit stops there. You were one of the only ones to come in that front pack for fuel through all the cautions. You ended up leading some of your first laps, come home in 4th position. Not a bad race at all, huh?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I knew I wasn't the fastest driver in terms of my teammates. They were like seconds faster than me. But I wanted to try and do a different strategy. You know, like when there was cautions. And yeah, then I had a few laps, which was kind of nice. But I knew I wasn't going to be quick enough to win the race. So other than that, I had a lot of fun. 4th place is good. It was up for me.
Yeah, kept it on the track, and you come home just outside the podium position there, but with the fastest lap right in the same second bracket as everyone else in the front. That's definitely not bad at all. So good racing here from Niall McBride, and Will, back to you.
Yeah, and one driver who at one point came very close to believing that he could indeed fly was Nigel Marif, and he, in the end, came home in P number 3, but what a crazy last 10 laps there, Nigel.
Bloody hell, like I don't even know what to say. Like the whole race was nuts for me. Like issues everywhere, crashes everywhere, record avoidance everywhere, pit stops everywhere, passes everywhere. Like I pretty much experienced the whole thing, I think.
And the steering wheel.
Well, yeah.
And the steering wheel, yeah.
Take us through what happened.
I mean, like I had this incident once before, but that was like half a year back where my wheel just simply disconnected. Like fortunately for me, it disconnected when I came off the banking, so that meant, you know, I didn't hit the wall, and luckily no one actually hit me because I couldn't get on the microphone and, you know, say that that I stopped on the track. So, I mean, I'm really glad that no one actually hit me, and I do apologize for the caution I caused there because I feel quite bad for that one actually.
And how glad are you that there are cautions in the ISOWC IndyCar Series on road course to be able to get yourself off sequence, onto strategy, to get yourself back onto the lead lap and give yourself a chance with 10 laps to go?
Like in many ways, it's similar to the ISOWC Indy 500 where things like fell in the right place at the right time, even though I was unlucky this race. In many respects, I was lucky in many others, so I couldn't actually believe the caution came out on lap 39 or whatever it was. I was quite happy when it happened, obviously.
Well, there we are. Nigel Marif coming home here today in a podium position. Meanwhile, Cam is stood by with Rachel.
Rachel, you ended up having a little bit of an issue, like many other cars coming off of turn number 6, going onto the long straight there, but ultimately you're able to wheel it back in after getting it to the pits, getting that front wing changed out, and you ended up coming home in 6th on the lead lap. How was your race?
Thanks, Cam. Tough race today. Picked up damage in the first caution. The car was twitchy, which is why I spun in turn 6. I'd lost my damaged my front wing on the first one and part of the side pod. When I spun, I lost the entire front wing, and I tell you what, that thing does not want to go in a straight line when it has not got a front wing. It's a little bit nope. But yeah, the GoDaddy Honda was good today. Down on top end speed after the ridiculous number of cautions and incidents. Got caught up with Nigel at one point, and I just lost top end speed there. I couldn't keep up with anybody, but that last caution kept me on the lead lap. I was 6 seconds ahead of the leader, so lead lap, managed to finish P7, more than I expected after today. That was a race of survival.
Yes, very good racing from that very squiggly lined car, I must say. Looks very nice there. But ultimately, though, a good race here at Indy Road. Next up, of course, is probably Indianapolis, if I may just take a guess. No, where are we going next?
We're going back to road courses. Yeah, I know.
Road America.
This is the
Road
ISOWC IndyCar Series. We do things properly here.
Okay.
By not having a race at Indy when there's actually another race going on at Indy on iRacing at the same time, because that would just be silly.
Well, anyways, another road course then, Rachel. Hopefully you're looking to get back and still in the top 10s and stuff.
Hoping for a top 10. Track's very similar, of course. Lots of high speed and tight corners, so hoping for a reasonable finish. I'm not a particular road course expert, but I'll take finishes when I can, especially when some of the top guys ahead of me in the points. I believe I was P6 before this round. When people ahead of me don't finish or don't start, I'll take it.
Well, Rachel, thank you very much for joining us in the RaceSpotTV commentary booth. You're welcome anytime, and we'll head back over to
I don't think we've ever had Rachel Whitefoot in the RaceSpotTV commentary.
No, first time ever.
No.
Same way we've never had this guy either. Paul Smith, nice to meet you. Hi, Will Vincent here from RaceSpotTV. How was your event?
Nice to meet you as well, Will. It was interesting. It's my first time properly running the DW12, so I made quite a few sort of silly errors, but it's all part of learning the car. And I managed to stay relatively incident-free. I did get caught up in a couple of things, but yeah, I'm happy with that. You know, in 12th place, so it could have gone a lot worse.
It could well have done. Of course, the DW12 a little bit different from what we used to seeing you run in, but did you enjoy it? And will we see you back at Road America in just 6 days' time?
In 6 days' time, I should be around for Road America, so I'm looking. It's a track that I do enjoy, so it's a good challenging track, a bit of an old school track, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and Tuesday night on RaceSpot for the Champions of the Future World Touring Cars.
Woo! Yep, and we shall see you for that one as well. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the one and only Mr. Paul Smith. We've got ourselves a little bit more time to have a chat with a couple more drivers. First of all, we got ourselves the guy who owns himself the chicken shed, the one and only Vic Cordell.
Hello, Will.
Hey, how you doing?
Today?
I'm alright, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I just figured I'd jump in this road race today. It's not usually my forte, but I was stacked it full of downforce and back there running in my own little world.
Well, we know that when you're turning left at this racetrack at about 235 miles an hour, you're pretty darn fast. When you haven't turned left and right, it seems to be not necessarily the day you would have wanted, but take us through the difficulties of the track conditions here today, and mainly, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, the first setup I started with was just low downforce, and man, that was all over the place, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to stack it full of downforce and just drive and race the track. And at one point I was at 5th place. I looked down, and that's probably because pit stops hadn't cycled out, but I thought I was doing pretty good, just running in my own little world.
Well, of course, we know come Indy we'll see you, but will we see you in Road America in 6 days' time?
Yeah, gonna try it. If you're only gonna get better if you do it.
And I have a feeling that in 2 weeks' time, you'll be seeing some crazy guy with crazy hair, maybe at the world's greatest racetrack.
I hope so. That's why I jumped in here, because I'm going too, and
you want to figure out what I'm doing in my life.
You got my number.
I think I have. We'll have a chat after the race. Vic Cordell, ladies and gentlemen. See, ladies, we call this post-race interviews. I call it networking here on RaceSpotTV. Finally, Cam, I'm going to hand it back to you. You're stood by with the guy who came home in P number 12, Scott W. Smith.
Scott, you had a little bit of a turbulent race between a couple of cautions, a couple of crashes you had to work your way around. Ultimately, though, those cautions were able to get you into the pits. A little bit of an alternate strategy. Come home in 12th position there when you started in 18th. So why don't you just take me through your day?
I feel like a pinball after one caution. Just, I forget exactly when it was. It was going turn 1, turn 2 complex. Was on the outside to the inside, and that just started a big commotion. But thankfully able to get the Under Armour Honda out and bring it home in 12th. So I'm happy with it, and we'll see what goes on.
Yes, now, just take me through the standing start. I feel like we haven't asked enough questions about the standing start here. We don't see that in the IndyCar a lot. How did how did everything go to you? It seemed that there was a lot of bunching right before turn one. Thankfully, everybody got through, though, which is shows those pro drivers yesterday what's up about IndyCars going into turn one in the IMS road course. But why don't you just take me through the standing start?
Oh, well, actually, thankfully I started dead last, so I accidentally stalled the car, but that standing start really did throw a wrench into what I feel was a lot of drivers' plans at the time. But thankfully, when you finally get into gear and everyone, as soon as you finish through turn one, it's just like, okay, craziness over. And thankfully, everyone was able to get through it. I think like lap 3 we ended up with a big fiasco, but unfortunately that's the nature of the beast when you're used to going left and all of a sudden you're having to go right.
Yeah, so IMS, of course, one of those rovals, as you might call it, but now we're going to Road America. You're going to be there?
Actually, no, due to outside
Having a
commitments,
life.
yeah, due to
Like,
real life,
nothing wrong with that.
I'm gonna miss Road America. I hope to be back for Zolder, if that is still on the correct date. And if not, then I'll be there at Texas.
Well, there you go. Scott Smith, thank you very much. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
No, not really. Today was big time on solo. Actually, I do have a shout out to the fellow competitors. Thank you for not running me over. Had a little bit of issues with Eric Davis during warm-ups, but a quick apology and things were smoothed over. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you, Scott Smith. And, well, Will, before we start wrapping these things up, I must say, of course, today is Sunday here in America on May the 10th, and of course that is Mother's Day. So as pretty much one of the only Americans here in the seat to have the microphone, I will say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and to everyone else who is not a mother, you forgot to get her something. You really should get on that now.
Unless, of course, you live outside of the United States of America, when we have Mother's Day,
you can still do something
on a different and better day.
You can still do a little something. Hey, Americans Mother's Day. Hey, that's some kudo brownie points right there if you do it and it's not at the actual day.
Well, yeah.
Just saying.
Who knows? In the interim, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that coming up next Saturday, we will return with the ISOWC IndyCar Series from Road America. 38 laps around what Robin Miller calls the greatest test of driving in North America. Well, that'll be here, of course, on RaceSpotTV, 6 p.m. GMT. Plenty of action coming up this week. The return of Champions of the Futures World Touring Car Championship. We've got the Skip Barber 2K World Cup tonight here on RaceSpotTV. And then, of course, we also have Monday Night Skippies tomorrow. And, well, we're just 2 weeks away from Memorial Day weekend, which means that we have ourselves another round of the Irish.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. It's that time of the year where Gregor Houtu normally kicks himself into high gear. We're heading to one of his favourite racetracks with Virginia International Raceway. Catch that one Memorial Day Saturday from 1:30 p.m. GMT. And then the week after that, we head ourselves over to Indianapolis for the 6th annual iRacing.com Indianapolis 500. Catch myself, Will Vinton, Aaron Lakins, Rachel Whiteford on RaceSpotTV's presentation of the greatest spectacle in all of sim racing, Saturday 30th of May from 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 8 p.m. GMT. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of the ISOWC IndyCar Series from the Indianapolis Road Course. For myself, Will Vinson, from Cameron Walsh, we shall talk to you next time. Bye-bye.